Hey guys, I just want to say, first of all, before the video starts, thank you for the last video. It's almost gotten 800 views. That is amazing. But before the video, I want to tell you the big thing that I've been saying that I was going to be announcing for the past, few days. The big thing is I'm doing a giveaway. Yay! Fucking A! What are you giving away? $10? Tree fitty? Nah, last year, or this year in MLB The Show, I won Challenge of the Week in week 21, I think. And I won a super cool prize, and I love it, but I kind of wanted to give it to you guys because really all it's done is like sit in a box, and I haven't really been able to figure out what to do with it. But I know a lot of you guys would be super stoked on it, and it doesn't fit me because I'm a big fatty. But this is the giveaway that I'm doing. It is a sweet Eric Hosmer autographed jersey. You see the autograph there? Yeah. It's friggin' awesome, right? Super cool. So, how do you enter the giveaway? The way you enter the giveaway, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter, and anytime I post a video, retweet it. That's all you have to do. And every single time you retweet one of my videos, I will enter you in for the giveaway. So if I have 50 videos between now and the giveaway, and you retweet 50 times, you'll have 50 entries. When I'm going to do this giveaway, I want to do it at 1,000 subscribers, and I know that that's a pretty lofty goal for a guy with 58 subscribers. I understand that. But and it is a lofty goal, but I want to get there. I don't care if it takes me 2 years to get there. I'm going to do the giveaway as soon as I hit 1,000 subs. And a lot of people may say I'm only doing this to grow my channel. That's one of the reasons. Yeah, it totally is. I want to grow my channel. I absolutely do. But I also want to help you guys out with awesome MLB The Show advice. I want to entertain you guys, and I want to give you cool stuff every now and then. And I think this is just first thing in a long line of things that I want to do that is pretty cool, that I think you guys will like. So with all that being said, let's get into the video. Okay, so first we're going to talk about using the interface. The interface is, the way it works is the vertical bar dictates how high the ball is going to go. And you want to try to hit that yellow line in order to hit the spot where you are wanting the pitch to go, whatever spot you select. And if you hit that yellow line, it's going to be very, very, very accurate if you're using pure analog. And the horizontal or the arched line that is semi-perpendicular to the vertical line is where your ball is going to go horizontally. So if you select a pitch and you hit it perfectly on the yellow line, and you hit it right in the circle that's on the horizontal line, it's going to be absolutely a perfect pitch most of the time. Almost like 90% of the time. Breaking balls can tend to hang sometimes, but it's not very common. So what the technical side of using the analog interface, what I like to do is whenever I pull down, I like to position my thumb at the opposite direction, like pulling down on the stick. I want to have my thumb going in the opposite direction, so when I push up, I can get my thumb in a direct I can prepare my thumb. Sorry, I can't talk. I can prepare my thumb to go in a direct line to wherever it is I'm wanting to go. So if you're wanting a ball on the inside to a right-hander and you set your location there, I'm going to pull down and a little bit to the right on the joystick so that when I push up, I can have a direct line that is up and to the left. And really, with the vertical line, there really is no technical side to it. There is a little bit of a strategical side that we'll get into later, but really you just want to get good at timing that the timing of pulling down and hitting that yellow line. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is locating your pitches. Just in general, we'll get a little more pitch specific in part 2 of this video, but a lot of people have this idea that they always want to locate low in the zone. I have news for you guys. This game is not real life, especially when you're playing against a human opponent. Staying low in the zone is great in real life. In this game, it's not the greatest strategy. It's not a bad strategy to pitch low, and maybe even to favor pitching low. But you really don't want to just, pound pitches in one specific area, even if that'd be a great strategy in real life. So you really want to think about mixing up your locations. You want to pitch low in the zone. You want to pitch high in the zone. Don't be afraid to throw high changeups. As counterintuitive as that sounds, it's actually probably one of the most effective pitches in the game. And another thing is pay attention to what your opponent is hitting hard, and what he's maybe struggling against. If your opponent has a quick bat, coming inside with a fastball, no matter how hard your pitcher throws, probably isn't the best strategy, especially if you're doing it a lot. If your opponent has a slow bat, that's probably the best strategy. If your opponent has a quick bat, though, I would probably suggest mixing up speeds a lot and really pounding that outside corner. And as far as mixing your locations, mix it more vertically. Go low and outside, go high and outside. The next thing that I want to talk about is arm slide. Arm slide simply means, it means a little more than this, but in layman's terms, it means just using your pitches, using different pitches that are coming out that look the same out of the hand but end up in different spots and at different speeds. So what this means is right there, you just saw me throw a low and inside fastball. You saw me throw a low and inside changeup, so I was mixing the speed. And then you saw me throw a slider that started low and inside and then broke to the outside corner of the plate. And that can really, really confuse your opponents, just like it can in real life. That it can cause them to see one thing out of your hand and be ready to crush that pitch. They'll get all excited, and then that ball is just going to break off, and it's going to go in a spot that they are completely not prepared for, and you are going to be successful, and it's oftentimes it's going to strike them out. Now, I'm not telling you to pitch like this all the time, because your truly good players will be able to recognize what you're doing, that you're pitching off of every other pitch. Like if every single time you pitch, you start with a high and inside fastball, and then you go with a curveball that starts high and inside, and then it breaks outside the zone, or whatever. If you do that, you become sort of predictable, because your opponents are going to start realizing that you're leading from one pitch into the next. So I would recommend using this, but not relying on it. Really focus on using that in situations where you really need it. Okay, and the final thing that I wanted to talk about, I wanted to count down the top 5 most effective pitches in this game, in my opinion. The first, number 5 on the list is a good old classic 4-seam fastball. The reason it's so low is because a 4-seam fastball from a guy who throws 92 is not going to be effective. You're going to have to utilize other options and use that fastball pretty sparingly. But a guy that throws 97, 98, man, there's not a lot that's better than a good 4-seam fastball, because all of your other pitches kind of play off of it. It sets up everything else if you make your opponent fearful of the heat. And if they can't catch up to that heat, they're going to have a bad time. Now, another reason why it's so low on the list is because there are just some players, some elite players, who do not struggle against fastballs at all. They have super quick bats, and if that is the case, it loses a lot of its effectiveness, and you have to be really creative with it in order for it to be an effective pitch. So it's not something like the 97 Verlander throws gas, but you really have to be able to mix in his changeup and his 12-6 and his slider for him to be effective, because at least at the higher levels, because at the higher levels those guys can catch up to that fastball without a lot of a problem. Number 4 on the list is a slurve, and a slurve I kind of debated putting it on the list because it's kind of rare and you don't see a lot of guys that have a slurve, and oftentimes the ones that do are relief pitchers in this game for some reason. But the slurve, whenever someone does have it, is a really, really, really great pitch, and in my opinion, it's superior to any other curveball type pitch, any breaking ball that has vertical movement. And the reason is because it doesn't have, most of them anyway, don't have a distinct breaking point. That's why it's a slurve and not a curveball. A curveball has a distinct breaking point that in this game can be a little easier to recognize out of the hands than a pitch like a slurve that it's in between a slurve, a slider, and a curveball. It's a slider in the fact that it doesn't have the distinct breaking point. It's a curveball in the fact that it has a little bit more vertical movement than the slider, and that can really, really throw hitters off, especially with a guy like Dellin Betances who throws so hard, because a lot of times they're trying to catch up to that fastball, and the slurve just kind of floats in there, and for, when the pitch is halfway to the plate, you still kind of think it's a fastball, and it becomes a really, really effective tool in situations like that. So the slurve would probably be number 4 on my list, even though I could definitely see arguments that it shouldn't be on because of just how rare of a pitch it is. Number 3 on my list is a slider. I debated coupling this with the slurve, but to me they are two distinct pitches, and a slider can oftentimes act like a cutter. Arrieta right here, he has a slider that's pretty good, but he throws it pretty hard, and it doesn't have a ton of movement, so it does sort of act like a cutter with a little bit less power. And sliders and slurves are sometimes a lot less effective to opposite-handed hitters, but against the same handedness, it's probably the most effective pitch in the game. Righty on righty or lefty on lefty, sliders, unless they're hung, if they're located well, are, in my opinion, the most difficult pitch in the game to square up. And just that usefulness by itself, the fact that almost everybody is going to have at least 2, 3, 4 righties in their lineup, and if you have a righty with a good slider, it's not that difficult to neutralize those guys with that slider, just because it's such a tough pitch to square up with the same handedness. Number 2 on my list is I put 2 pitches on here just because I think that different ones are effective for different types of pitchers, and that is a changeup / a circle changeup. A regular changeup is better for a guy who is mostly a 4-seam fastball pitcher, because it's straight coming in, and then at the last minute it kind of fades down, it drops, and it loses its velocity, and it really helps with arm slots and stuff for a 4-seam pitcher. But the circle changeup is the off-speed pitch that you really want to have for sinker ball pitchers. So a guy like Jake Arrieta, who has a straight change, man, he would be. I think he would be a little bit better if that was a circle change, just because the angle that they take towards the plate is almost identical, and it just has that velocity change, which makes it an incredibly deceptive pitch. The same thing with Justin Verlander. I think if he had a straight change instead of a circle change, because he's a straight four-seam guy, I think he'd be a lot more effective. It's not a huge thing to look for, but if you do have a sinker baller, if they have a circle change, it is going to be a little bit more effective than a straight change, and vice versa. But it's not something that I wouldn't choose a guy over. Number 1 on the list, and it's not even close, is a sinker. Sinkers are so devastating in this game. And by the way, all of this is subject to change in 17 because of the new ball physics and stuff like that, but it's hard for me to imagine a world where the sinker isn't the devastating pitch that it is, just because of the nature of how the PCI works and just how devastating a good sinker can be. A guy like Arrieta, his sinker is disgusting, and the reason is the sinker has that horizontal and vertical movement in towards a righty and away from a lefty. In my opinion, it's equally as effective against both. If you pair it with a good four seam, it is just, it's borderline impossible for a hitter to really be able to square up that sinker if you mix it well. He just kind of has to get lucky. And it's just, it's a hard pitch to hang. Guys you're gonna break a lot of bats. It's hard to time because people want to time it at the point of break, but you have to start your swing well before that if you want to get around on a sinker. It's just a devastating pitch. It's in my opinion 100% the hardest pitch to square up, even if you spam it. Like, you can use a sinker over and over and over and over again, and guys are still going to have a relatively tough time adjusting to it. Alright guys, that is going to do it. Please like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at usmbaseball.com, retweet the video for your chance, for one chance at the giveaway. Every single retweet that I get from you, that will be one entry into the giveaway. And yeah, whenever I hit 1,000 subs, I'm going to give that bad boy away. I know it's a pretty lofty goal, but I think I can hit it. With all that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow, and be sassy.